Why do we still have this troop level around the world? I think you have all the same mistakes being made by the Pentagon that we have being made by other parts of the economy. I mean, I'm not an expert on military strategy or national defense, but what I do think I'm an expert on in economics, I know that everything the government is saying about economics is dead wrong. And everything they've done is wrong. And so I don't think they're so completely wrong when it comes to economics, and then they're geniuses the way they run the Defense Department. So I'm sure there's a lot of mistakes being made there, but that's the main function of the federal government. That's why we have them. That's why the Founding Fathers gave them the authority to tax in the first place, because of wars. If it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have even given them that power. Any other questions?
Just out of curiosity, I read an article the other day about an MRI machine. You know what an MRI machine
Yes.
costs?
They're expensive.
Very expensive. You know what they cost in Germany?
I don't know.
About 1/4 the cost they cost here. Now, why is it that the GE, the predominant manufacturer, why is GE selling it to a hospital here for 75% more than they sell it to another firm in, say, Germany or?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously
and then we can get into prescriptions.
they're segmenting their markets, but I don't know where it's manufactured. But I do know that through the FDA process, I'm sure they've recovered all the costs by now, but we have a lot of, it's very expensive for one of these companies because of government rules and regulations. It's very expensive to bring a drug or a diagnostic product, from inception to market. You got to go through all these testings and all these procedures, and it costs a fortune. And so that builds up the cost that a lot of these companies have to recoup. As far as that particular model or what the dynamics are in GE, I don't know. But I do know that all this government testing and all these government regulations do drive up the costs associated with this. And I do know that in the MRI testing, I'm sure that a lot more MRIs are done in this country that need to be done. Because a lot of it is done in a defensive manner. And I'm sure most people, when they have to get an MRI, nobody asks, hey, what's it going to cost? No one asks that question. And then nobody shops around and says, oh, really? Let me call another MRI center and see if I can get a cheaper rate, or maybe I can come in the evening. There is no competition in the United States. They pay whatever it is because it's a third party that's picking up the bill. So nobody cares. But when you're spending your own money, you care. And that's what we have to do. We have to bring these decisions back down to the level of people who actually are impacted financially, so they have an incentive. And once in a medical profession they know that. I mean, you look at eye LASIK surgery. Eye LASIK surgery is not covered by insurance. Look at the price. It's come down. Every year it gets cheaper and it gets better because the government's not involved, because the insurance companies aren't involved, because individual patients can shop around and go to the doctor who offers it at the lowest price. The doctors know that they're competing on price, so they bring their prices down. When the doctors know that price is not an issue, then they raise their prices. Look, I own a brokerage firm. If my clients didn't care about the commission, I just keep raising them. Everybody would do that. But people do care when it's their own money. Anything else? All right, well, thanks, everybody, for allowing me. Oh, one more question in the back.
You give a great seminar, and I congratulate you on it, really.
Is there a button?
But if you go to Washington, you're going as a junior senator. What's the prognosis of you doing the same thing to the learned gentlemen that are screwing us in Washington, and will not listen and don't care what you say?
Well,
let's assume you're 100% correct.
I'm going to try my best to make them care. That's why I'm going. The one thing I know, most junior senators, from what I can understand about Washington, when they get there, it's all about fitting in, getting the right assignment, making friends with the right people so they can help you raise money and get reelected and get on the right committees. And I think senators spend most of their time trying to prepare themselves for reelection. I'm not going to spend any of my time doing that. I don't care. I don't care what committee I'm on. I don't care if anybody likes me in the U.S. Senate. In fact, I don't expect anybody to like me initially. And so I'm going to be able to spend all my time trying to do the right thing. And as I said, I'm not going to write any new legislation. That takes a long time. It doesn't take a long time to write repeal. Repeal this one, repeal that one, and put it through. And then all I want to do is oppose stuff. I want to try to stop. Like, they want to raise the national debt ceiling, right? Now, unfortunately, they're tying it to a defense authorization, which is a sneaky way these guys do everything. But you know what? I don't care. I don't want to play that game. I want to stand on the Senate floor and say, and block that. How can we have a debt ceiling if every time we get to the ceiling, we raise it? I mean, what kind of ceiling is that? So I want to impose some discipline. Look, we're not raising that ceiling. So if you want to fund this war, then cut something. Cut spending somewhere. But if someone doesn't stand up to it, they're going to keep borrowing until the Chinese and the Japanese stop lending, and then all we got is Ben Bernanke's printing press. And if they use that, we're through. So somebody's got to bring some fiscal sanity to this country before it's imposed upon us from the outside. Because then, that's going to be a lot worse for us than if we do it on our own. If we on our own terms, determine that we're not going to borrow anymore. Because if we have to do it on our creditors' terms, we're not going to like it.
Now term limits. How long do you think this is going to go and take to teach your associates?
I don't know. I don't think we have a long time. And that's the problem.
That's right.
I think during the term of whoever wins, right, we're going to have another economic collapse in this country that's going to make 2008 look like the Roaring '20s. It's going to get very bad, and so I don't have a lot of time. Time is not on my side here. I got to get there, and I got to make a difference, and I got to make a difference fast. I don't know if I can be successful, but if I don't try, then I know I'm not going to be. So I got to at least go there. And I said it's not just important that I get there, because I think if I get there, it's going to be a wake-up call. It's going to be a wake-up call for the Republican Party that, hey, the leadership has basically led us astray. They run as Republicans, but they've governed as Democrats. It's going to be a wake-up call for the Republican leadership that they might not be leading anymore because there might be more Peter Schiffs coming in 2010. Because if I can do it, other people can do it. And what I'm hoping is that there are some Republicans in Congress that in their hearts feel like I do, but they just haven't been able to stand up. They haven't had the courage to stand up. But maybe when it's really important, like some young kid in a foxhole who acts heroic but never know he had it in him, there could be some heroes in Congress right now that would stand up and might put their country ahead of their own political interests. And hopefully I can bring that out and I can get other people to do it. Sometimes you're out, you see it, there's a dance floor and there's a band playing and there's no one dancing. No one wants to be first. Somebody gets out there, one couple gets out there, pretty soon another couple, and then everybody's dancing. So maybe if I do that, then I'll have some company. I can slowly convince one senator, then two senators, then 5 senators, and actually make a difference. Because the stakes are very high. And if we keep repeating the mistakes of the past, we're finished.
You sound like Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
Well, I'm not Jimmy Stewart, but and I think it's much. This is a much bigger issue than when he went there. But in a way, it is going to be a modern version because, as I said, I've never been in any elected office. I've never sought elected office. I've spent my entire life in the private sector criticizing the government, and so this will be my first foray into it. But as I said, the alternative, I think, is a disaster. So I can sit back and I can watch this train wreck happen in slow motion, and I can make a bunch of money off it. I mean, I know that where I have my money invested is going to do very well, given the scenario that I see unfolding. But I'd rather try to stop that from happening. If I can prevent it from happening, and so things don't, the investments don't do as well, that's fine with me. Because I got a 6-year-old, 7-year-old son that I'd like to grow up in a prosperous America. And so I'd rather do something to make sure that happens than just sit on the sidelines and and make a few bucks.
How about RNC monies?
Excuse me?
How about RNC monies?
Take money from the RNC.
I'll take money from whoever gives it to me. And why not? I mean, the important thing is to get elected. And so if somebody gives me money, why not use it? I mean, obviously this is going to be an expensive race, especially when one of my opponents is threatening to spend $50 million.
I think the name of the game is owing.
Yeah, but I'm not going to owe anybody. I don't care who gives me money. No one's going to get any favors from me. That's part. Most of my donations, I've got over 10,000 people who have donated to my campaign. See, that's the problem. I don't get any money from special interests or anybody who's trying to buy my vote. It's not for sale, and they know that. So the only people who are going to give me money are people who just believe in my message. I mean, all I'm going to give people is freedom from government and liberty. And that benefits everybody. I don't have any one person. I'm not trying to rob from Peter to pay Paul. I don't want to rob from anybody. And so if people understand that and understand what I stand for and my philosophy, they're giving me money. But no one's giving me money because they think they're going to get influenced, that I'm going to pass some bill that's going to specifically benefit somebody. What I do is going to benefit everybody.
energy over the next month, I would be happy. Great presentation. Thank you so much for coming. Peter and I had the opportunity to talk last Friday, and it was one of the most fascinating discussions I have enjoyed in probably a very long time, because we went off of politics and into the realm of economics and things like that. So it's a nice opportunity to meet people and hear from candidates like that. Next in our agenda